live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. Israel prepares to carry out an intensive West Bank operation after explosions on 3 buses close to Tel Aviv. No casualties reported. White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz says Trump very frustrated with Zelensky. Ukraine must strike critical minerals deal. G20 foreign ministers gather in South Africa amid tensions over trade. Ukraine, India says G20's ability to harmonize viewpoints is key to advancing an agreed agenda. Clinical India kicks off ICC Champions Trophy 2025 in style. Shubman Gill's century passed the men in blue to a 6-wicket victory over Bangladesh. And on to the details now. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has instructed the military to carry out an intensive operation in the West Bank after explosions on buses close to Tel Aviv on Thursday. There had been explosions on 3 buses in 2 Israeli suburbs outside Tel Aviv, and 4 explosive devices had been found. The explosions had occurred on buses in depots and were empty. No casualties were reported. The military was assisting the police and Shin Bet intelligence agency in the investigation. The police said it was searching for suspects, advising the public to remain vigilant. Well, there was no immediate claim of responsibility for the explosions. Netanyahu met with the defense minister, head of the military and Shin Bet, and the police commissioner following the explosions. Netanyahu's office has described this incident as an attempted mass attack. The military said it would intensify counter-terrorism operations in the West Bank and that it had blocked entry points in certain areas. The bus blast come amid a fragile ceasefire in Gaza between Hamas and Israel after 16 months of conflict. The ceasefire has held since it was implemented on January 19th, despite accusations of violations. Well, Israel demanded on Friday that Hamas return the body of Shiri Bibas, accusing the Palestinian militant group of having handed over the body of an unknown person rather than that of the hostage. 2 bodies released by Hamas had been identified as infant Kafir Bibas and his 4-year-old brother Ariel Bibas. But the 3rd body was not that of Shiri Bibas, the children's mother, whose body was also supposed to be released. The body remains unidentified. The children's father, Yarden Bibas, was released by Hamas on February 1st. Yarden, his wife Shiri and children Ariel and Kafil were seized from their home near Gaza during the October 7, 2023 attack. Baby Kafir was only 9 months old when he was kidnapped. The 4th body was identified as Israeli hostage Oded Lifshitz. Lifshitz was 83 when he was abducted from Nir Oz, the kibbutz he helped found. His wife Yocheved, 85 at the time, was seized with him and released 2 weeks later along with another woman. Israel's National Center for Forensic Medicine, Dr. Chen Kugel, said Lifshitz had been murdered more than a year ago.
We offer our deepest condolences to the Lifshitz family. Today, 503 days after the October 7th massacre, the body of Mr. Lifshitz, who was murdered more than a year ago in captivity, has been identified. Since October 7th, 2023, the team of the Israel National Center of Forensic Medicine is dedicating itself to identifying all October 7th victims and thus provide closure for the families and proper burial. The employees of the Israel National Center of Forensic Medicine are continuing the identification efforts.
Well, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to eliminate Hamas, saying the 4 coffins obliged Israel to ensure more than ever that there was no repeat of the October 7th attack.
My brothers and sisters, dear citizens of Israel, on this day we are all united. We are all united in unbearable grief. Every home in Israel bows its head today We bow our heads at the heavy loss of our 4 hostages. We all hurt in pain that is laced with rage. We all rage over the monsters of Hamas. The coffins of our loved ones oblige us, more than ever, to promise, to vow that what happened on October 7th will never happen again, ever.
Well, the handover marked the first return of dead bodies during the current agreement. Thursday's handover of bodies will be followed by the return of 6 living hostages on Saturday in exchange for hundreds more Palestinians. Well, negotiations for a second phase expected to cover the return of around 60 remaining hostages, less than half of whom are believed to be alive, and a full withdrawal of Israeli troops from the Gaza Strip to allow an end to the conflict are expected to begin in the coming days. Well, the Arab leaders will meet in Saudi Arabia on Friday to counter U.S. President Donald Trump's plan for U.S. control of Gaza. The official Saudi press agency, citing an official, confirmed on Thursday that Egypt and Jordan were participating in the Riyadh summit along with the 6 country members of the Gulf Cooperation Council with the aim of strengthening cooperation and with regard to joint Arab action. The agency also said decisions issued by the unofficial fraternal meeting in the Saudi capital would appear on the agenda of an emergency Arab League summit to be held in Egypt on 4th of March. With the U.S. envoy for the Ukraine conflict, Keith Kellogg, met President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv on Thursday. Following the meeting on the social media platform Zelensky said that he had a detailed and productive conversation with Kellogg about prisoners of war, effective security guarantees that would be part of any peace agreement in the battlefield situation. Zelensky said it was crucial that both the Kellogg meeting and cooperation with Washington in general were constructive, and added the talks restore hope in terms of achieving an agreement with Washington.
General Kellogg, our talks restore hope. We need strong agreements with America, agreements that will really work. I gave instruction to work fast and very much even-handedly. Economic interest and security interest should always go hand in hand, and the details of the agreement are important. The better the details are drafted, the better the result.
Meanwhile, White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz stated that U.S. President Trump is very frustrated with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He said Zelensky needs to come back to the negotiating table and strike a critical minerals deal that recognizes the amount of aid the U.S. has provided the country in its fight against Russia. Earlier on Wednesday, Zelensky rejected U.S. demands for $500 billion in mineral wealth from Ukraine to repay Washington for wartime aid, saying the United States had supplied nowhere near that sum so far and offered no specific security guarantees in the agreement.
You've heard is multifold. One, there needs to be a deep appreciation for what the American people, what the American taxpayer, what President Trump did in his first term, and what we've done since. So some of the rhetoric coming out of Kyiv, frankly, and insults to President Trump were unacceptable. He needs to come back to the table, and we're going to continue to have discussions about where that deal is going.
Well, further, SpaceX and Tesla boss Elon Musk lashed out at Zelensky, claiming Ukrainians despise him and supported Trump's stance on excluding him from Russia peace talks. The comments by the tech tycoon, who is leading Trump's huge U.S. government overall, came as the White House told Zelensky to stop insults against Trump and sign a minerals deal with Washington. Musk accused Zelensky of running a massive corruption operation fueled by the deaths of Ukrainian soldiers and claimed that Zelensky cancelled elections out of fear of losing, despite controlling all Ukrainian media. Musk also praised Trump, describing him as highly pragmatic in handling the conflict. While emphasizing the need to end the conflict, U.S. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson stated that there is no appetite for another funding bill for Ukraine.
We need an end to the conflict, and I can tell you that our European allies understand the necessity of this as well. It's drug on too long. By some estimates, Russia's lost almost 700,000 troops, maybe more. The Ukrainians have suffered great losses. We have to bring an end to the conflict. President Trump is exactly right. It's time for it to end, and he is the brute force, I think, that can make that happen.
Well, the former Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko advocated for a softer diplomatic approach with the U.S. following tensions between Kyiv and Washington. Poroshenko urged Zelensky to take a calmer approach with Trump and offered to visit Brussels or Washington with parliamentarians and experts to boost Ukraine's diplomacy. He also called for a coalition government and an end to the presidential office's political monopoly. Poroshenko was hit last week by official sanctions imposed on security grounds and has been under investigation in connection with various allegations. And for more, we have Anil Thomas joining us on this. Well, Anil, good morning. Given the recent tensions between Trump and Zelensky, how do you think Keith Kellogg's trip to Ukraine will impact U.S.-Ukraine relations and, of course, the ongoing negotiations?
Good morning, Lepanshi. Well, it's very much on expected lines. This particular, dialogue that's happening, it's almost cold-shouldering U.S.-Ukraine relations. And it's also affecting European Union, the European countries that are behind it, because it's going in a big way in, once again, putting somewhere Ukraine in solitude, but it also benefits Russia in a big way, because Russia is looking forward to this kind of a dialogue where US and Russia are on the table. There's no Ukraine, there's no European Union on the table. So it leaves a lot to be desired, but, we'll have to wait and watch on the finer print of this particular dialogue that's coming. But clearly, there seems to be more of autonomy between US and Russia that's growing, but less of US-Ukraine relationship that's taking a big hit.
All right, Anil, also if we talk about how do recent tensions between the US and Ukraine, including Elon Musk's criticisms and the...
Purely for Ukraine to gain. Ukraine has more to lose in this entire gambit. There is no elections that are taking place in Ukraine. Trump has indicated him to be of a dictator. So in all, it's a losing window for Ukraine. But what Ukraine is hoping against hope is that, there could be an end to the war, there could be an end to the crisis that's on, and somewhere deep down they could, get out of this trouble. Because remember, close to 8 million people have been displaced in Ukraine, and, many have left the country. So all in all, it's a hope against hope that you can get something out of the table. But remember, two big issues that they have raised, both not being considered by US, clearly leaves them with a lot to lose, less to gain.
Right, Anil. Thank you so much for those details. And Defence Secretary John Haley and his Norwegian counterpart Thor Sandvik visited the British Royal Fleet auxiliary ship Proteus docked in Bodø, Norway on Thursday. They met with Army and Royal Marine commandos during their visit. Haley's Norway visit comes days after Russia and the United States held their first talks on ending the conflict in Ukraine. Ukraine and European governments were not invited in the Saudi capital, which magnified their concern that Russia and the United States might cut a deal that ignores their vital security interest. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Senate confirms Kash Patel as FBI chief amid partisan divisions and controversy. We'll tell you all about Germany's national election on February 23rd. And Peru declares state of emergency for many districts as intense rains cause widespread flooding and destruction.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium, We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DT India News. I'm Lepakshi Kural, and moving on. US President Donald Trump is gearing up for a significant week of diplomacy with meetings scheduled with two key European leaders. In the coming Monday, he'll host French President Emmanuel Macron at the White House to discuss bilateral relations and global politics. This meeting is expected to cover a range of issues in maintaining strong alliances. On next Thursday, President Trump will meet with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. And speaking on his upcoming visit to Washington, D.C., French President Macron expressed that while it's important for Europe to stay close to the U.S., Europe also needs more independence.
Ce que je vais faire, c'est je vais lui dire.
We must keep the American alive with us, the Europeans. We all want it, but we need greater autonomy, independence of the Europeans. Donald Trump creating uncertainty for Vladimir Putin is a very good thing for us, and that's also what's happening. We have to succeed in somehow structuring what's going to come next, a solid and lasting peace plan. I'm going to tell US President Donald Trump that he can't be weak in the face of Russian President Putin. It's not you, it's not what you are made of.
La Russie aurait le droit d'envahir l'Ukraine.
Well, Argentina's President Javier Milei kicked off his U.S. visit on February 20th by gifting a chainsaw to Tesla CEO Elon Musk. Milei gave the chainsaw to Musk during a meeting ahead of Musk's appearance at the Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC, in Washington, D.C. U.S. President Donald Trump has appointed Musk to lead a new Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, which has streamlined federal agencies, cutting thousands of jobs and dismantling programs, mirroring Milei's budget cuts in Argentina. After CPAC, Milei arrived at the IMF in Washington, D.C., where he is set to meet with Trump and the IMF head. Well, U.S. President Donald Trump on Thursday hosted a Black History Month reception at the White House and was joined by American top-ranked golfer Tiger Woods. After receiving a standing ovation from the attendees, Woods took the floor and said he was honored to accompany the newly appointed president. Trump praised generations of black legends, champions, warriors and patriots that have been part of American history and announced the creation of a statue garden for American heroes.
Very special time. It's Black History Month. We love you all. We're going to work with you. We're going to make America greater than ever before. We're going to do it together. And I want to thank you all for being here. It's an incredible honor.
Well, the U.S. Senate has confirmed Kash Patel as the new FBI chief, putting President Trump's pick in charge of the country's top law enforcement agency. Indian American Kash Patel was confirmed by a 51-49 vote on Thursday. The vote was split along party lines, with two Republicans, Senator Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, voting against Patel's confirmation. They expressed concerns about his past political advocacy for Trump and its potential impact on FBI's law enforcement activities. Republican supporters, however, argued that he would reform an agency which has faced declining public trust in recent years. Democrats had opposed Patel's nomination, saying he would seek retribution against Trump's enemies. Patel has denied any plans to pursue political vendettas. And U.S. President Donald Trump will host his first cabinet meeting at the White House on Wednesday, February 26th. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who laid out some of the highlights of Trump's first month back in office, also announced that two European leaders would be visiting next week. She said Trump will host French President Emmanuel Macron on Monday and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Thursday. Their visits come after Trump has already met with leaders from Israel, Japan, Jordan and India. Those meetings come amid concern in Europe about the direction of talks on ending Russia's conflict with Ukraine.
That the president will host his first official cabinet meeting here at the White House next Wednesday, February 26th.
While U.S. President Donald Trump warned that BRICS nations could face 150% tariffs from the United States for allegedly attempting to destroy the dollar.
When I came in, the first thing I said is any BRIC state that even mentions the destruction of the dollar, will be charged a 150% tariff, and we don't want your goods, we don't want to partake. And the BRIC states just broke up. I don't know what the hell happened to them. We haven't heard from the BRIC states lately.
Well, a U.S. judge ruled on Thursday to reject a union's request for a temporary injunction to halt the firing of thousands of federal employees on probationary status, marking another legal victory for President Donald Trump in his effort to reduce the size of the federal workforce. This decision comes as approximately 6,700 probationary workers at the Internal Revenue Service, as part of a workforce of over 100,000 employees, are being laid off. A former IRS official revealed that most of those losing their jobs are from the agency's enforcement teams just weeks before the April 15th income tax filing deadline. The National Treasury Employees Union, along with 4 other unions representing federal workers, had asked District Judge Christopher Cooper for a temporary restraining order to prevent the dismissal of their probationary employee members. And New York Governor Kathy Hochul announced on Thursday that she will not remove embattled and indicted New York City mayor from office at this time. Hochul proposed new limitations against the mayor Eric Adams after the Justice Department dropped its charges against him. Hochul suggested Adams had become beholden to President Donald Trump, whose Department of Justice is seeking to dismiss of a federal criminal case against the mayor.
After careful consideration, I have determined that I will not commence removal proceedings at this time. My strong belief is that the will of the voters and the supremacy and sanctity of democratic elections preclude me from any other action. To move this city forward, I'm undertaking the implementation of certain guardrails that I believe are a first start in reestablishing trust for New York City residents, and ensure that all decisions out of City Hall are in the clear interests of the people of this city and not at the behest of the president.
Well, a federal judge has issued a stern warning to Trump administration officials to comply with his order to lift the foreign aid freeze or face consequences. Judge Amir Ali's ruling follows revelations that despite a court order, thousands of U.S. aid contracts remain suspended. The administration insists it is reviewing each case, but Ali slammed this as an unjustified delay. Non-profits fighting the freeze called for contempt charges against Secretary of State Marco Rubio, accusing officials of brazen defiance. But Judge Ali stopped short, citing the administration's acknowledgement of the need for compliance. U.S. President Donald Trump ordered a 90-day pause on all foreign aid on his first day in office. And the U.S. Department of Justice has dropped its case against Elon Musk's SpaceX, which was accused of refusing to hire certain immigrants. The case filed during the Biden administration alleged SpaceX systematically discouraged asylum seekers and refugees from applying between 2018 and 2022, but SpaceX fought back, arguing export control laws restricted hiring to U.S. citizens and legal residents. A legal battle ensued, with the judge temporarily pausing the case. Now, in a stunning reversal, the DOJ is dismissing it with prejudice, ensuring it won't return. The decision comes as Musk, a close Trump advisor, leads efforts to cut government waste. Both Musk and Trump have long criticized federal agencies' regulatory power. Meanwhile, Costa Rica's government has received its first group of mostly Asian migrants deported from the United States on Thursday, part of a deal with Washington to temporarily house up to 200 deputies from other nations. The deportations are part of U.S. President Donald Trump's crackdown on unlawful migration that includes a growing number of flights to nations cooperating with him on the multinational repatriations. The latest group of expelled migrants were flown from the city of San Diego to Costa Rican capital San Jose, from where they were sent by bus to a migrant shelter near the border with Panama. The migrants will be allowed to stay in Costa Rica for 1 month, during which time officials will coordinate their voluntary return to their home countries. Well, Canada labelled 7 drug cartels as terrorist entities, calling them key players in trafficking fentanyl, a drug that has become a priority issue for U.S. President Donald Trump. Ottawa's move follows an executive order Trump signed hours after he took office on January 20th, which designated several cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. Trump has threatened a 25% tariff on all Canadian imports, saying it was partly intended to force action on the cross-border flow of fentanyl. Ottawa has stressed to tackle the fentanyl crisis as the drug kills more people per capita in Canada than in the United States. And as Germany heads to national election on February 23rd, we take a look at Bundestag, which is a German federal parliament.
Germany is all set for crucial federal elections on February 23 to elect its next chancellor. These snap polls were called by the Chancellor Olaf Scholz when his coalition government fell apart last year. Let's understand the parliament structure in this report. The German Bundestag, the national parliament of the Federal Republic of Germany, stands as a cornerstone of democratic governance. Its seat is the Reichstag building in Berlin. Rooted in history and evolving through time, it plays a crucial role in shaping the laws and policies of the nation. Established post-World War II, the Bundestag embodies Germany's commitment to democratic principles, transparency, and public engagement. The Bundestag's origins trace back to 1949, following the establishment of the Federal Republic of Germany. It succeeded the Reichstag, which was dissolved during the Nazi regime. The post-war period saw the formation of a new democratic system with the Bundestag as its legislative heart. In the current electoral term, Parliament is composed of 733 members. This is the 20th electoral term since the establishment of the Federal Republic in 1949. The President of the Bundestag holds the second highest office of state in Germany after the federal president. Biabu Bias has been President of the Bundestag since October 2021. The number of seats a party has in the Bundestag depends on its results in the elections. The more votes a party gets in the Bundestag elections, the more seats it gets. Elections are generally held every 4 years. The last election was in autumn 2021. Voters will have 2 decisions to make. Their first vote determines their choice of constituency candidate, with the candidate who wins the most votes being elected, regardless of how his or her party performs overall. These constituency seats ensure that every region in Germany is represented in the Bundestag. With their second vote, voters determine the relative strengths of the parties in the Bundestag. The second vote is therefore the decisive vote, as it dictates which parliamentary group or coalition of parties will have a majority, allowing them to elect their preferred candidate as federal chancellor. If a party fails to meet the requirement of receiving more than 5% of all votes cast nationwide, also known as the 5% clause, it is not represented in the Bundestag, unless the party has won at least 3 constituency seats, in which case it is taken into account in the distribution of seats to the party's lists in the individual Länder. The German Bundestag exemplifies the nation's dedication to democratic values and effective governance. As a dynamic institution, it continues to adapt and respond to contemporary challenges while upholding the principles of representation, accountability, and public service. Bureau Report, DD India.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Peru declared state of emergency for 157 districts for 60 days after intense rains caused floods and collapsed houses nationwide. Heavy rains have led to the collapse of houses, leaving many without shelter, and have also caused damage to crops and infrastructure. Several attacks between Wednesday and Thursday caused terror among the locals of Cúcuta in a new episode of violence in northeastern Colombia. The attacks targeted police infrastructure. Explosive charges and rifle blasts were detonated. Authorities confirmed at least 6 people were injured in the attack. The United Nations launched an appeal for more than $900 million to help 3.9 million people in Haiti struggling with acute food insecurity and gang violence. Haiti's humanitarian situation has deteriorated, with 5.5 million people experiencing acute food insecurity, 11% increase from March 2024. UN is urged to support this appeal to help alleviate the suffering of the Haitian people. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Prime Minister to inaugurate first edition of the Seoul Leadership Conclave in Delhi. Bhutan Prime Minister Tshering Topgay to deliver keynote address as the guest of honor. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar meets South African President Ramaphosa at G20, reiterates India's support.
Timeless, boundless, and infinite. The essence of faith, the soul of Sanatan culture. From the sacred confluence of Prayag, where divinity descends to earth. Witness the grandeur, the devotion, the magic. World's largest cultural and spiritual gathering, with over 450 million devotees expected to attend. Mahakumbh, India's greatest festival of faith. Exclusively on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lepakshi Khurana, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Israel prepares to carry out an intensive West Bank operation after explosions on 3 buses close to Tel Aviv. No casualties reported. White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz says Trump very frustrated with Zelensky. Ukraine must try critical minerals deal. G20 foreign ministers gather in South Africa amid tensions over trade. Ukraine, India says G20's ability to harmonize viewpoints is key to advancing an agreed agenda. Clinical India kick off ICC Champions Trophy 2025 in style. Shubman Gill's century passed the men in blue to a 6-wicket victory over Bangladesh. And moving on, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa opened the 2-day foreign ministers meeting in Johannesburg. Over 30 countries were in attendance, including Indian Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. DD India correspondent Nazneen Ismail reports for more.
Good day from South Africa. As the G20 foreign ministers meeting unfolded today in Johannesburg, the honourable ministers were welcomed on the red carpet with a vibrant traditional South African dance. Over 30 countries are attending, including Indian Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. US Secretary of State is absent due to diplomatic tensions, with the US represented by Acting Ambassador Dana Brown. Representatives of the European Union, United Nations and African Union are also present. The meeting will focus on geopolitical issues, South Africa's G20 achievements and key priorities such as economic growth, food security and sustainable development. President Cyril Ramaphosa opened the 2-day foreign ministers meeting in Johannesburg, marking the first time an African nation has led the G20.
We have now arrived finally, and you may not believe this, to the most beautiful country ever to be made in the world. So welcome. Africa is home to some of the world's fastest growing economies, and in many ways faces unique challenges such as the impact of climate change, developmental needs that it has, and the effects of global trade dynamics. This summit's location underscores the need for African voices to be heard on critical global issues like sustainable development, the digital economy, and the shift towards green energy. It is a great opportunity, too, to promote greater collaboration between African nations and the rest of the world. Geopolitical tensions, rising intolerance, conflict and war, climate change, pandemics, and energy and food insecurity do threaten an already fragile global coexistence. These challenges are interconnected. They require responses that are inclusive, and responses that should be well coordinated through various forums such as the G20.
The foreign ministers will continue on global issues and bilateral relations. I'm Nazneen for DD India, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Well, a high-level Indian delegation has concluded a landmark series of strategic meetings in Saudi Arabia, strengthening bilateral media partnerships and generating momentum for India's upcoming World Audiovisual and Entertainment Summit, Waves 2025.
In a diplomatic initiative that represents a crucial step in India's strategy to establish itself as a leading force in the global entertainment industry, Indian delegation had a series of productive meetings in Saudi Arabia. The delegation met with key Saudi media leaders during the Future of Media exhibition in Riyadh. The delegation's agenda featured meeting high-ranking officials of Saudi Broadcasting Authority, exploring synergies in broadcasting technology and content exchange. Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting Sanjay Jaju highlighted India's digital media advancements and the upcoming Waves 2025 summit.
We are here in full strength from India, and we have had a lot of discussions and deliberations. It provided us opportunities to discuss issues of common interest, because the media and the entertainment segment across the world has huge opportunities for countries, has also got its own challenges. So I think it has provided us the opportunity to discuss all these issues of common interest.
The visit is expected to create extensive opportunities for content creators, technology providers, and media professionals in both countries. This diplomatic initiative is a crucial step to establish India as a leading force in the global entertainment industry. The meetings have laid the groundwork for long-term collaboration in digital media, broadcasting, and entertainment.
Prasar Bharati already has an MOU with the Saudi Broadcasting Authority, and among the various meetings that were held, it was decided that the scope of the cooperation and coordination between the various entities on the Indian side and the Saudi side would be enhanced in the days to come. The Saudi representatives have also agreed to participate on a large scale in the Waves Summit in May 2025 in Mumbai.
Waves 2025, scheduled for May 1st to 4th in Mumbai, will showcase cutting-edge advancements in animation, gaming, visual effects, augmented reality, and virtual production. Bureau Report, DD India.
And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the first edition of the Seoul Leadership Conclave at Bharat Mandapam, New Delhi on Friday. The two-day Seoul Leadership Conclave will serve as a premier platform where leaders from diverse domains will share their inspiring life journeys and discuss aspects relating to leadership. School of Ultimate Leadership, Seoul, is an upcoming leadership institution in Gujarat to enable authentic leaders to advance the public good. The aim is to broaden the landscape of political leadership in India through formal training and to include those who rise through merit, commitment and passion for public service and not just from political lineage. Seoul brings in insights, skills and expertise necessary to navigate the complex challenges of leadership in today's world. Well, Bhutanese Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay arrived in the national capital for the conclave. He will be delivering the keynote address as the guest of honor. India's Senior Minister Pavitra Margarita personally welcomed Tobgay, highlighting the strong India-Bhutan friendship. And February 21st is observed as International Mother Language Day, celebrating linguistic diversity and promoting the preservation of mother tongues worldwide. In a multilingual country like India, languages are not just a means of communication but a reflection of our rich cultural heritage. As a report by DD India correspondent Kriti Vadhera.
International Mother Language Day, we discussed the importance of multilingualism in context of New Education Policy 2020. And to discuss on the same, I have with us Professor R. Meghanathan. I welcome you on DD India, and he's expert in the field. Professor Meghanathan, India is a diverse country with so many regional languages, and at the same time, we want English also in our education system. So, do you really feel that new education policy can make a balance between both?
That's what the policy lays emphasis on, creating multilinguals, meaning you begin with your language, and English language now is being introduced from class 1 in all the states, which the policy understands, recognizes. So English language here is to stay, and also learning of other Indian languages. So it liberates the language in education policy known as 3-language formula, which comes into effect from class 6, but during the foundational stage and the formative years of learning from early childhood to class 5, it promotes the mother tongue and the other languages, which is ultimately English is another language and the state language.
So for a diverse country like India, what are the key challenges you must have faced in implementing NEP 2020 in terms of multilingualism?
This policy rightly recognizes and understands and underscores the enormous diversity of this country. Now the Government of India, Ministry of Education, through NCERT and Central Institute of Indian Languages, Mysuru, we have brought out the primers. This is the first book. And let me tell you, on record, many languages, more than 50-60 languages are seeing for the first time documentation and print. That they are spoken by people, they are languages. But now the next step is to bring these languages into school. And I tell you, as a linguist and an educator, the only way to preserve and protect our languages, like minor tribal languages and endangered languages, is to bring them into school curriculum. What is to be done is create resources in the Indian languages, particularly in the tribal minority languages, so that children, learners, parents and the communities gain confidence to use it and learn the languages.
Absolutely. And indeed, multilingualism is the strength of India, and New Education Policy 2020 is nurturing it further. Thank you, Professor R. Meghanathan, for giving your valuable insights on this crucial topic. This was Kriti Vadhera with camera person Yogesh for DD India.
Well, Bangladesh is observing the historic Language Day named Amar Ekoshe on Friday by paying tribute to the martyrs who laid their lives during the language movement in 1952, demanding Bangla as the official language for the then East Pakistan. President Mohammad Shahabuddin and Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus paid homage by placing wreaths at the central Shahid Minar in Dhaka. The Amar Ekoshe remembers the sacrifice of the martyrs whose role was foundational in the emergence of an independent Bangladesh on 16 December 1971. Well, first-time MLA Rekha Gupta took oath as Delhi Chief Minister at the historic Ram Leela ground on Thursday after the Bharatiya Janata Party returned to power in the national capital after over 27 years. The grand ceremony was attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah, Chief Ministers and Deputy Chief Ministers of 20 states and other senior BJP leaders and workers. Besides Rekha Gupta, 6 newly elected MLAs also took oath as members of the new Council of Ministers. Here's more in the report.
मैं रेखा गुप्ता ईश्वर की शपथ लेती हूँ कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगी.
After a long gap of 27 years, Delhi finally got a Bharatiya Janata Party government at India's national capital Delhi as Rekha Gupta took oath as Chief Minister on Thursday. The newly elected BJP leader, who won her maiden MLA seat from Shalimar Bagh, took oath in a grand ceremony at the national capital, attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Chief Ministers and Deputy Chief Ministers from 20 states, as well as senior BJP leaders and workers. Apart from Rekha Gupta, 6 newly elected MLAs were sworn in as ministers of Delhi. BJP's Pravesh Sahib Singh, Ashish Sood, Manjinder Singh Sirsa, Ravinder Indraj Singh, Kapil Mishra and Pankaj Kumar Singh took oath as ministers in Chief Minister Rekha Gupta-led Delhi government.
भारत सरकार के साथ मिलकर
उनकी सारी योजनाओं को, विजन को दिल्ली में लेकर आना और सारी जनता के जितने भी हमने वायदे किए सबको पूरा करना।
Hours after taking the oath, Chief Minister Rekha Gupta officially assumed charge at the Delhi Secretariat. She then visited Vasudev Ghat and Yamuna Bazar before heading to chair her first cabinet meeting.
जो मिशन विकसित दिल्ली का है उसको पूरा करने के लिए लगातार काम किया जाएगा। एक भी दिन उसमें से व्यर्थ नहीं होगा और एक एक कमिटमेंट जो हमारी दिल्ली से है उसे पूरा करेंगे।
Meanwhile, wishes have been pouring in for the newly elected Chief Minister. Taking to social media platform X, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, "Congratulations to Rekha Gupta ji on taking oath as Delhi's Chief Minister. She has risen from the grassroots, being active in campus politics, state organization, municipal administration and now MLA as well as Chief Minister. I am confident she will work for Delhi's development with full vigor. My best wishes to her for a fruitful tenure." While leaders from across the political spectrum have extended their greetings to Rekha Gupta as she takes on the responsibility of leading Delhi. With a fresh cabinet in place, all eyes will now be on the new government's policies and governance strategy. It remains to be seen how the Rekha Gupta-led administration shapes the future of the national capital. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, Panama has informed India about the safe arrival of a group of Indians deported from the US, and the Indian mission in the country is working closely with the host government to ensure their well-being after obtaining consular access to them. The Indian embassy in Panama, Costa Rica and Nicaragua took to X on Thursday to share the information but did not provide data on the number of Indians arriving in Panama. The group of Indians is part of a larger group, up to 200 migrants sent to Panama by the US government. The embassy's communication comes a day after the deputies in the Panama hotel rooms held messages to the windows reading "Help." The deputies, who were sent back after President Donald Trump launched a drive to deport illegal immigrants, were not allowed to leave as the Panamanian government is waiting for international authorities to organize a return to their countries. Well, Indian classical dance form Odissi mesmerized audiences in Tokyo, transcending cultural boundaries. The Vivekananda Cultural Wing of the Embassy of India in Tokyo organized this initiative, bringing together dance enthusiasts to delve into the intricacies of this graceful and expressive art form. Here's more.
Amidst the bustling cityscape of Tokyo, a serene space was created dedicated to the graceful art of Odissi. This ancient dance, originating from Odisha, captivated participants from all walks of life. This initiative by the Vivekananda Cultural Center of the Embassy of India in Tokyo brought together beginners and seasoned dance enthusiasts, all eager to delve into the intricacies of this expressive art form. The workshop focused on the fundamental postures and the mudras that tell stories.
Wonderful. I mean, it's like I see they're very interested, trying to understand each and every movement patterns and the context of it. So, which is definitely very inspiring for me as a dance educator to see that in them.
Participants ranging from students to professionals were deeply immersed in the learning process. The Vivekananda Cultural Center in Tokyo is persistently working to encourage the Japanese population to pursue Indian traditional art forms, also fostering a deeper appreciation for Indian culture. Many expressed their appreciation for the opportunity to learn from an expert and connect with Indian traditions.
I practice Bharatanatyam and I teach yoga sometimes. So I love Indian cultures. So Vivekananda Cultural Center sometimes provide nice workshop taught by ICCR, good teachers, yeah. And today is Odissi, and I've never tried this dance, but I'm very interested.
Now, so Odissi, I joined Odissi, and it's first time for me, and I always see the reel on Instagram. It's first time, so I want to learn Odissi. Because I'm interested in Indian culture.
With the dancing in India, it's a nice idea to know the culture by the dancing because we can learn a lot of it. I'm enjoying a lot.
Standing here amid the vibrant energy of these Odissi dancers, I can feel the power of cultural exchange. This initiative by the Vivekananda Cultural Wing of the Indian Embassy of Tokyo is not just about teaching dance, it is about building bridges and understanding.
While you're watching DD India News, our time now for some sports news. India began their Champions Trophy campaign on a positive note as they beat Bangladesh by 6 wickets in their opening match in Dubai on Thursday. Batting first, Bangladesh's Tawhid Hriday slammed his maiden century to guide his team to 228 runs. Hriday combined with Jakir Ali for 154-run partnership to rescue Bangladesh from dire straits. Meanwhile, Mohammad Shami was the pick of the bowlers who got a 5-wicket haul. With this achievement, Shami also became the fastest Indian to take 200 wickets in ODIs. Chasing 229, India started off well but lost Rohit Sharma in the 10th over. He scored 41. Virat Kohli also got out after scoring 22, but opener Shubman Gill showed his class again and scored his 8th ODI 100. Gill's brilliant century along with KL Rahul's steady play helped the men in blue chase down the target with 21 balls to spare. Well, the Indian fans present at the Dubai International Stadium were elated after the match as they look forward to India's performance in the matches ahead. Take a look.
The match was really amazing, especially after the fall of 5 wickets for Bangladesh, and then the way they come back after the fall of 5 wickets was amazing. I think the guy who did the 100 was terrific.
It's a good preparation for coming matches for Pakistan and New Zealand. Hopefully they'll carry on their form and then acclimatize to Dubai weather.
Then Shubman played a very consolidating knock of 100 runs to get India. So overall, very good experience.
That was fantastic. We like the game. We like the century of Shubman Gill. Shami did ball very well as expected, so we finally won the match.
For me, it was the first match that I ever attended, so that was fun. I really liked it. Looking forward to the other matches.
India! 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 India!
Well, after claiming a historic ODI series win over South Africa in September last year, Afghanistan is now ready to start its Champions Trophy campaign against the Proteas in Karachi on Friday. Afghanistan head into the contest after a 2-0 series win against Zimbabwe in December last year. South Africa, on the other hand, lost both their games in the recently concluded tri-series involving Pakistan and New Zealand and also suffered a 0-3 loss against Pakistan at home last December. While South Africa is the odd-on favorite heading into the clash, the Afghans are more than capable of pulling off an upset in this Group B opener. The two sides have faced each other in ODIs on 5 occasions, with the Proteas winning 3 matches and the Afghans securing 2 victories. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Nabhakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.